To buy a car in 2025 is an interesting endeavor because depending on which dealership you go to, they say we have tariff pricing, we don't have tariff pricing, we have short supply, we have high supply, and it varies from dealership to dealership. And we're starting to see the effects of these tariffs on supply manufacturer. What am I talking about? Check out this article up here where they're basically coming out and saying, hey, car suppliers going bankrupt because of their cost of importing stuff, and it is just not good. And when you put tariffs on China like that, China has a monopoly on some of their rare earth minerals. What am I talking about? I'm talking about these magnets that go into speakers, everything else. So we're going to watch a little video in a little bit here, talking about the Ford CEO talking about, hey, what is it that's gonna make cars expensive? What's gonna make them back to short supply? What is gonna make a result of making all these cars behind me are gonna go for premiums again if they cannot get their these raw earth minerals. So let's watch the CEO real quick talk about exactly that.
Are you satisfied with the rare earth minerals that you have access to? I know that you had to slow down production
We have.
in the past.
Yes.
Have you been able to secure the amount of magnets that you need?
It's day to day. It's day to day. These high-powered magnets, the raw materials for them only come from certain places in the world. They're all processed in China, and they go in your speakers and your auto system. They go in your motors for your wipers and your seats. They're all over our F-150, for example. We have applications in MOFCOM. They're getting approved one at a time. You know, we're educating the administration. We're educating the Chinese leadership about how important these jobs in the Midwest are that are dependent. We have had to shut down factories. It's hand to mouth right now.
Okay, so you heard him, and he was basically saying that there is an issue with these magnets that are only produced in China, and now they're starting to diversify their supply chain, and that's kind of how it's going to go when they're all these F-150s. They can't really make them, so they get the shipment, they install it, and then they ship them out. And as you see, the lots are actually quite full. So as you're seeing right here, the lot is actually packed. The question is, for how long? When these shipments don't come in, they're going to be so much more expensive, because if the cost goes up for the manufacturer, they can just increase the MSRP, the sticker price, right? And what these people do is, and I'm not talking about this, I bought my Chevrolet from here, so these guys are actually really good to deal with. But other manufacturers or other dealerships are going to do is, haha, we're going to start adding all these crazy, crazy bogus fees to increase sales. And one of the things I always say is, not everything has to be a horrible experience when you go to these car dealers. Now, in a world of AI, of actually having all these tools available at your disposal, you should make this a super pleasant experience. You can have AI start talking to the customer, hand them off to an actual salesperson, and not have the salesperson be the rabbit in between you and the sales manager, where it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and create all these different 10 layers so that you can sell a car. Nowadays, you can say, hey, this is it, this is the one price, and be done. But then these car websites like Car Gurus and everything else is going to have issues, because everybody looks at Car Gurus and these other websites and says, oh, it's the cheapest one. Oh, this car is $9,000 cheaper than any other car. And most likely that is because they do false advertising. And I know that there's laws in place and everything else, and these laws are so not effective that you can actually get rid of them. Why? Because they say, oh, this is the car price, yeah, but then there's a side guard on it that we spent $900. We've put tinted windows. We've washed the tires, and this is not included. So washing tires costs $20. Oh, we've put special hubcaps on. It's another $1,000. Then all these bogus fees. Oh, we filled up the tires with nitrogen. All nonsense. All nonsense. Most of the times they put a little door trim on it and they tint the windows maybe, and then they say, you owe us $7,000, $8,000, because that's a for sure easy way how to make a lot more money. So yeah, so these are all these things, or all these practices that these car manufacturers make to increase their bottom line at the expense of the customer. And you, with your hard-earned money, should not fall for it. Because if you don't fall for it and you don't buy it, then don't worry about it. Just leave. You can always walk away. And look at the lot. It's just crazy. The lot is packed with 2023s, 21s, 23s, and the new cars are all the way in the back there. And people say, they're talking, but oh, they pulled my credit. So what? In credit, so when I looked at my credits, and I think me and Ali got like 3 or 4, they pulled our credit 3 or 4 times, and then they bundle them afterwards into one. So you can go to a dealership if you're not willing to buy it. You can just say, you know what? Let me get out of this. This is a bad thing, and be done. Vote with your wallet, because guess what? And this is just a little economics lesson. If they can't sell this Jeep, they have to lower the price. They have holding costs. So they'll tie up $20,000, $30,000, whatever it is, 10, 15, whatever they bought it for. It's gonna sit there. They gotta wash it, they gotta clean it, they gotta keep the tires up, and it's gonna cost them money to hold it, just as this Kia. And so the longer they hold it, depending on what the market does, it might go down or it might stay flat a little bit. And most of the time it kind of goes down. So the longer they hold this car, it eats their cost. And whenever you have money tied up in assets like that, that is a very bad place to be. And then they have floor lines, they have lines of credit, just like you can on your house. And the last thing you want to do is be holding these cars, because most likely you as a dealership are not a collector, so you need to get rid of them. But as you see here, let's see, they don't even have the price on them. So they say, because you don't want to put a price on it, because now it's dynamic pricing, just like grocery stores where they're starting to say, hey, we price competitively. And window stickers nowadays don't do nothing, because they just tack on all the fees, everything else. So getting a price out here on a window doesn't do nothing, because this one right here, you see it? It is $51,995. Team discount of $4,000. So this car right here is $47,000 and something dollars. So right here, $47,000. So now, looks like a pretty decent price. I bet you if I go in there, and I don't know these guys, right? So if I go in there, they would probably most likely tell me that the $4,000 discount, and it is not just tax. It's not just going to be title, taxes, and fees. No, they're going to try and get you with, oh, we polished it. Oh, we did recon. Oh, we tinted the windows. Oh, we did all this. And then your $4,500 discount is actually way, way higher. So actually the $4,000 discount isn't a $4,000 discount. It was just perceived as it is. And then they tacked on so much other things, and then you actually have a higher price than actually advertised. And this is what most people are really pissed about. They go in, they think, hey, they discounted the car for $4,500. This is a great deal. They walk in, and then they slap them with all these crazy fees. And once all these crazy fees come in, then the price is higher. And you're like, how did this happen? And then they're like, oh, I'm already here. I don't want to go to another dealership. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And then what happens? Boom. You signed, you got a bad deal, you got a bad taste in their mouth, and you trash them online. And that's how these dealerships get such a bad rep. And yeah, this is kind of what you got to watch out for. And now we're seeing all these shortages come in with, hey, we can't make the speakers. Hey, we can't make that. So then, if you're a fearful person, what the salesman's going to do is to increase his paycheck, because sometimes they're not just off of pay. They say, hey, well, if we're going to, of minimum pay or whatever, that they say, hey, minimum commission's $200. The more we make, the more you make. And so then they want to sell you the highest amount possible with the most amount of crap on it, so that they make the most amount of money. And people come in here and finance way above their boxing level. What do I mean by that is, when you make $4,000 a month and you have $1,500 to live for, for rent, need another $1,000 for groceries and other stuff, you cannot afford a $1,600 or $1,100 car payment. Why do I say 16? because just having a car payment isn't going to be the end all be all. So you're going to have the car price that you're going to finance. Then what do you need? You need insurance. So then you also need registration, and you also need to fill it up with gas. And for a lot of my European viewers, this is not something that they understand, because when you live in the United States, and you don't live in New York City, San Francisco, where there's great public transportation, you literally need a car. It is like almost a necessity. In my area, it is not accessible via bus or tram or whatever you want to call it, or subway. It is not doable. So you gotta get a car and drive around, because grocery stores are spread apart, everything else is spread apart. So a car is almost like a necessity. And now I always say, what do you do? Because I always try to give advice and say, hey, this is what I do. So what I do is I always buy cars before I actually need them, so I can look at, hey, is this going to be a great deal? And always, when I always buy cars, I always make sure that I don't need something. Because the easiest way is to walk away from a deal is when you don't need it. And what do I mean by that? It's like, hey, I'm looking, I could buy today, I could buy in 2 weeks, or I could buy in 6 months. So then you wait for a good deal to come by, and then you strike when there's a good deal. And so you're not stuck with like Chuck and being like, hey, I can't afford this, but I needed one, and I had all this other stuff going on. No, no, no. Just be looking when you're thinking about it, and don't just go out on a weekend and say, you know what, I'm going to go buy a car this weekend. If you're super wealthy, you're a millionaire, and you have money to blow, sure, do that. But for the common people like myself, I cannot afford to not get a good deal. It's like I can't just say, hey, um, I want to go buy a car. I need to make sure that, hey, my dollar is maximized, because if my dollar's not maximized, it's going to cost me more in retirement. And what do I mean by that? It's like when you look at car deals, there's such big purchases that every dollar you spend now is a dollar you have less in retirement. And I always talk about retirement. I always talk about your money. I always talk about how to maximize your dollars, and not paying add-ons and doing all this other stuff is a sure way for you to actually maximize your dollar. And every dollar saved is a dollar made. And I truly, truly believe that. So you got to make sure that you're not getting hosed by these dealerships if you're going to go buy a new car. And now all these new cars are unreliable as hell. So when you're going to go to the dealership and go pull the trigger and say, you know what, I'm going to buy one, you got to be sure that, hey, this car is not 11. Because before, 10, 15 years ago, there were motor issues, transmission issues, or electrical issues. But not everything was so technology advanced that electrical issues weren't, I would say, that common. Nowadays, where everything is electronic, everything is like AI powered and needs cell phone connectivity and everything like that, it is in a AI sort of world, or it is in a technology world, that there's more electronic problems going wrong. And now you got to decide, hey, is this car going to be a lemon, not because of necessarily the engine or the transmission, just because of the dash, the everything else? Because if you cannot read the speedometer because it's a faulty tech, that's on you, right? And they're going to be like, oh, it's just a software glitch, oh, something else. And I've read how many wires, how many miles and miles of wires go into a car. So it is like absolutely crazy. The more technology that goes into it, the more can go wrong. And now I'm asking you, do you think that technology is going to go out quicker than the engine and the transmission? Because I know a lot of my viewers are they like cars, and so they got 1990s Tundras and Tacomas and Camrys, and they say, hey, these cars run, they're reliable, and they use good wiring, they used pretty decent stuff back then, and now everything is done via software. So if you're thinking about going wrenching on one of these new cars, that's like, yeah, I think I need a laptop first. So before you even go and check anything, you need a laptop to run the software analysis and look at all this kind of other stuff. So yeah, it's a new world where everything is computer based, everything is based off of, hey, we gotta run the codes and do all that kind of stuff. It's not back in the days where it's like, hey, let's read the with the O2 or whatever with the odometer. Let's read the codes, and then it's something, and we're good. Now there's so many computers, there's so many modules in them, and I live in a place like Las Vegas. And now let me ask you this: these cars sit out with 110, 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's, for my European unit, that's about 40 degrees. How good and how long will these new cars last with their computers, with their modules, being in this type of environment? And I don't think they've been around yet that long so we have all this data, how long these new computers and everything else before the wires start to give out and the computer starting to give error codes and everything else like that. Because if you have all analog and not that many technology in your car, there's less stuff that can break. And now with everything computer based, we'll see how that is gonna end up. So you guys let me know what you think. But yeah, we're seeing these tariffs hikes, we're seeing this short demand. So don't get hosed at the dealership. Do your research. Don't be afraid of, hey, if I can save a few $1,000s to drive a few hours, just make sure that you get the contract beforehand and do everything like that. There's dealerships that will do it, and then there's a bunch of them that won't. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about all this. And yeah, protect your money, protect your hard-earned dollars so that you can retire and use the money to invest and do other things rather than just giving it to the dealership and saying, oh my gosh, I got scammed. Don't be one of these people. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next